Thank you very much, Colonel. Thank you for coming here.
It's a pleasure. Pleasure to be here.
So you're a member of the multinational advisory group.
Correct.
So if you can explain that to us, what is that group and what does it do?
Yeah, it's a group it's consisting of the US, the UK, Germany, and the Netherlands. We call it the Coalition of the Willing, and it's focused on the Peshmerga reform program. We had some predecessors who worked out a roadmap with lots of projects, in total 26 projects, and every country has about 4 to 5 projects, and hopefully to deliver in 2025 the vision, and we have put it in one sentence: one effective, modern, and respected Peshmerga force.
So if you can give us a general overview of the reform, the process, how is it going right now?
It's going very, very slow. I need to be honest with the public and also honest with the people that I'm working with, but it's moving. And if I'm looking in the mirror every day, changing departments, big departments, is also in the Netherlands or in Germany or the UK. It is always slow.
Right.
And especially with having the 70s and the 80s, two forces from political parties moving under this Ministry of Peshmerga is not easy. But we're making small steps, and we're actually at a moment, at a crucial moment of a project that needs the political decision makers to agree upon, and it's about the structure and the force size. That project is really important because it will unlock lots of other projects for the coming years.
So why is the process so sluggish? What's the reason for that?
The reason is trust, and I think everybody will agree that it's difficult with your history. It is not, it's still recent history. So building trust takes a lot of meetings, of course, having that vision clear in mind, having the public behind you and the military, and that's absolutely the case. The military see especially after fighting Daesh and ISIS, they see the necessity to form one Peshmerga force. But you need trust in each other to make these steps, and right now we need actually a political agreement on an operating concept to really see what is the structure of this force for the future.
If you can describe the milestones that you have achieved so far you said it's very slow, but I'm sure there are some progresses, right? What are the major milestones in this process?
The biggest is actually that we have one Ministry of Peshmerga.
Okay.
We had two before. We have also signed a strategic document. We have an agreement that the first and the second support command of the 70s and 80s are really put under the Ministry of Peshmerga. And those support commands are important because that's where you have the heavy weapons and the logistic forces. So that's a clear sign for me also of trust to move it under the Ministry of Peshmerga. But also in other projects, for instance, the German colleague is working on a Peshmerga clinic and is in a far stage of having an NCO school. That's what we call the corporals and the sergeants, the middle management school for the Peshmerga forces. The same for the UK. They're doing professional military education projects on the different colleges. So those are small steps, but important steps to have this effective modern force in 2025.
So what is the major obstacle for this sluggish process?
Right.
And I mean, I don't want to put you in the spot, but who's to blame for this? You talked about trust, but I mean, you have to be able to point the blame to somebody, right?
No, it's not somebody. It's absolutely the history that we're dealing with, and I think the recent history has proven that you need one force. You cannot have a division in different forces all over Kurdistan region to fight Daesh or any future enemy. So it is now up to the political decision makers to actually make an agreement on the force size, because it has to be affordable. I think that's something I really want to stress. You cannot have a force that
Is it too big right now?
Right now it's too big, and we need to have a younger force.
Right.
So we need to have a retirement law and that we agree on a staged, because you cannot, of course, people need their jobs, so you need to face and stage this over the coming years and make it a much more younger, effective modern force. So I really do hope in the next month or next 2 months that on the senior level decision makers, they will find an agreement on this force size and the structure. The structure is about divisions or regional commands that we need a decision on.
How would you make it younger when you don't have a draft system here?
And
it's all, the political affiliations of the force.
Yeah. That's why we have the word respected in the vision. The vision in itself is one effective, modern and respected force that the young people want to join and see it as a great step in their career. I'm from the Marine Corps in the Netherlands, and the Marine Corps has a very good name. It's about responsibility, it's about discipline. So when you go for a next stage in your life and you want to do something else than the military, and you have in your resume that you were part of the Peshmerga force, because the brand is already strong. I really must stress as well, and I need to be humble as well, if I see the mentality and the will to fight within the Peshmerga force, man, that's something I can really respect. So that part is already there, and now we need to really transition it to a more effective and modern force.
Is there any obstacle from the lower parts of the Peshmerga, the lower ranks, not the leadership, not the political leader? I mean, could the soldiers, the Peshmerga fighters, could they work together? Yeah. Could they be part of the same structure?
They can, and they have proven it in the last fights against Daesh. That's not where the problem is. Not even in the higher ranking positions in the military. But everybody is sometimes waiting, and that's because of the trust situation on the political side to have this agreement. And that's everywhere. To be honest, that's also sometimes in the Netherlands, where you have an army and a navy and an air force. There's competition. Not even the words you sometimes hear in the Kurdistan region, like you betrayed me or something. Right. But even within our force, between Navy, Air Force and Army, there's competition or there's distrust. So it takes then the political decision makers to say, this is how I see the next force in the Netherlands. So
since the problem or the issue is within the political leadership, the changes that happened in Suleymaniye and Suli within the leadership of the PUK, I'm sure you were aware of it. Do you think that would make any changes to the process that you are involved in?
It can be helpful if you have one leader, and I've been there many times. But they were aligned. Both Kakbavo and Kaklahur were aligned with regards to the Peshmerga force. I won't go into any other political issues because
they had the same opinion when it comes to.
They had the same opinion. They both said, Jan, we need the structure, and then we will absolutely move the 70 forces and the support command under the MOPA. So I will stress during this interview with you as well, let's get an agreement on this structure. What is the number of divisions, what's the number of regional commands, and what's the force size, and we can really unlock, like projects that I'm working on is electronic payment. And electronic payment is important for transparency and to make sure there is no fraud or signs of corruption. But then we need the force size and the structure. Another project I'm working on is MOPA reorganization. How do we see the whole ministry with all these forces? But I need to know what structure are you choosing and the force size.
So you think that PUK having one leader is helpful to the process?
It can be, but as I said before, they were aligned. They said to me both, get us on the table as well, so make sure that the political leaders are sitting on the table with the advisory group, the multinational advisory group, as a mediator. And they were both, they were convinced we will get an agreement. But to get them on the table is sometimes not so easy.
So KRG's reform bill number 2 of 2020, which is an extensive reform bill. I'm not sure how that reform bill includes what's happening within the Ministry of Peshmerga.
I think it's part of it. I mean, reform is. It is not just the Department of Peshmerga Affairs. It's of course, I mean, health, education, and more. And we see, and I've said it to many colleagues, and also I said it to the SRSG. If this will succeed, it can actually unlock other reform programs in other departments, because it sparks the imagination amongst the public in the KRI. So if we can make this a success, and hopefully really before 2025, but now we have made the deadline in 2025, it can help and really accelerate other reform projects in other departments as well.
So when are you envisioning to finish this project that you started? Is there a timeline for it?
The projects are not fixed to a timeline per year, but the big one is this operating concept. We need to have this project operating concept, structure and foresight this year, hopefully this month. But also electronic payment and a single accounting unit. If you have the 70s and 80s moving under MOPA, we need a single accounting unit and not 2 or 3 accounting units as well. So I see that happening next year. And there's not a big...
What do you mean exactly by single accounting units? And
that all your checks and balances are done by one unit in the Ministry of Peshmerga. And you don't have multiple account units.
To finances.
To finances primarily,
yeah.
Then we see a unification project, probably in 2023, and in 23 as well, that we see the structure of the new ministry, so we can start reorganizing in 2024. This is still ambitious. Sometimes they say, Jan, this is still ambitious, but we need to have pressure on our shoulders.
Right.
Not just the generals and the Reform Directorate, because the Reform Directorate is leading here. There are all kinds of projects meant by generals that we support. But it's also pressure on our shoulders. And I'm only here for 1 more week or 2 weeks. And then my successor will have what I call a kickstart, flying start to continue with the project.
Is there a sample of this process that you're doing right now from anywhere else around the world that you maybe take lessons from?
The Lebanese army.
Okay, if you can talk about that a little.
And what we saw of the Lebanese army, especially that word respected in the vision, that a lot of young people want to join the Lebanese army to put it on their resume. And right now the situation, as you know, in Lebanon is not so good, not financially primarily, but that's an example. And as I said before, big changes like this are difficult and are time consuming, and that's universal.
The United States, they announced that they are going to withdraw forces by the end of this year. Is that going to have any impact on this process that U.S. is also part of and your country is also part of?
On the advisory group, what we are doing, no.
So you will stay here for...
We don't know for how long. It is extending every year. Right now it is at least up till next year that the Netherlands will provide a colonel like myself in this advisory team. It's a very small team with the UK, the US and Germany. The coalition forces where you were referring to, I'm not sure what their timeline is. It all depends as well, how is the fight against Daesh going? We are not fighting Daesh, we are just focusing on the Peshmerga reform progress.
But how is this progress having any impact on the fight against Daesh?
It currently has no big impact, because all these projects we are dealing with are the future Peshmerga force. But what I'm telling everybody, this is what you need for a safe and secure KRI for the future, for your future businesses and generations. So right now, there's still lots of things, operations going on in different areas, as you know. We are really working with the Reform Directorate every day, every week, to make sure that we have the plans in place, that we are working with implementation teams from the MOPA itself, talking about the new MOPA building, because the current MOPA building is old, it's an old infrastructure,
right.
And it should also be an example, if you have one Peshmerga force, that it also has a new, nice, good modern infrastructure building as well. I hope to see that in the next 3 to 4 years. Hopefully 2025 is also the year that we have a new Ministry of Peshmerga.
If you can talk about the trainings that you also provide to the Peshmerga.
We're not providing trainings.
You're not providing any training.
That's how the mission started. The capacity building mission started with lots of training for battalions and units. Maybe, I'm not sure, but the coalition is maybe doing some training, but I don't think so. No, we're really working on the ministry level, on the institution itself.
So if you can walk me through a day in your life here, advising the Ministry of Peshmerga, what would it be like?
It's primarily...
you go talk to the minister or the advisors or who?
That's sometimes. It is primarily the Reform Directorate. I mean, if you have established a complete Reform Directorate, that is also, for myself, a signal of that you want it.
Right.
How difficult it is, we all know, but if you have quite a big team manned by generals on different projects besides MOPA, the Minister of Peshmerga, then you're really serious about this program. So we work a lot in the teams, lots of meetings, sometimes not so interesting. Working back and forth from Reform Directorate to MOPA itself, working a lot with the two advisors to the minister, the Generals Hajar and the General Bakhtiar from the 70s and 80s, traveling to Suli, making sure, yes, the 70s, are you moving, and the 80s, are you moving on the MOPA? Building relationship is also part of my work, because you need to, I'm Jan ten Hove, a colonel from the Netherlands. Can you trust him? Yes, you can trust me. You can trust me. I'm sometimes using that I'm here for the second time. I was here the first time during the uprising in 1991 as a young troop commander, and I'm back here, and it's because of a request of the Kurdistan region, request to help you with this. So it is interesting. It is sometimes hard work, and being happy with the small steps we see.
So the steps by both 70 and the 80, both of them say that they're doing better step than the other one. Which one do you think is moving forward faster than the other one?
I can't tell right now. I mean, if you're saying, yes, we're moving, then that's just a step in words or a signature.
But in reality...
In reality, moving really the authority to MOPA and having sure that the structure, that's why we need that operating concept, is in place. For me, that's the next step. And if that's working, hopefully in 2023, with the structure in place, then you can say, yes, we have the authority completely under MOPA. It is not a race. It is a matter of step by step, and they're doing both the right steps, and both sides are, from the military side, are really telling me, Jan, we need this, Jan, we want this, but sometimes a crucial step on the highest level, on the senior decision maker, is necessary. And I said this in an interview in June as well. That's already 2 months ago, and time is running out. I mean, what's happening around us, everybody can follow the news. Please, I ask, make that step, sit together, and so we can continue with the reform process.
There are people who say there's a lot of corruption within the Ministry of Peshmerga or within the Peshmerga in general. What do you say about that, and how does that have any impact on your work?
It has no impact on my work, but I know it's there.
On the process that you are involved in.
The process it has impact.
Okay.
Because if you're talking about an electronic payment system, then you're getting transparency in your ministry. And I said, hey guys, that's professional. That's what we want. We want one effective, modern, respected Peshmerga force. So these steps are necessary. You see more and more generals who want this reform. I must say there's the ones I know, there's no corruption in them. That there is still corruption, I know, but that's not what I'm here for, to fight. That's a different fight.
But is it a concern?
Of course, it's a concern.
Okay.
It's everybody's concern. It's something that in lots of departments is happening, and I really do hope that is also improving over the next.
Do you see that improving?
I don't know. I think that's not the case right now. But having this single accounting unit, electronic payments, then you will move lots of corruption outside the Ministry of Peshmerga.
So, my last question: you're leaving Kurdistan very soon. So, what is the takeaway that you take back home with yourself?
You're much more respectful than the Netherlands, than the Dutch. I'm so direct, so I take a lot with me from the Kurdish hospitality, of course, but also the respect that you all have. When someone is entering a room, you stand up, instead of in the Netherlands you sit down and you say hello. So I take a lot of the way the Kurdish people are behaving, and that's something that I can learn from, and I have learned from, and I will bring it back home. And what I also will do, I come back next year with my wife as a friend and tourist, and to show her the country, the beautiful Kurdistan country, and also where and with whom I've working the last 6-7 months.
Colonel Jan, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.